What's going on, guys? Good morning. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. Happy Easter and all that stuff. Good to see you guys. Sorry I'm a little late. Backwards Miner, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Who else is here? Steven Cicero, Dumpster Fire, All Set Miner, Alexander, what's up, man? Mad Electron, Slaw Squash is a pirate, Geek of all trades. Man, you guys are awesome. Thanks for being here, Mr. Rud Puts. Good to see you. All right, let's see how the market's looking today, and then we'll get into this Restrict Act stuff. Mr. Guy over at Coin Bureau actually made a good video, so I want to look at that, listen to it. I didn't get to watch the entire thing. Mike's the Miner, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to just add me in the chat or leave it in the comments after the fact, and yeah, let's get into it. So let's see, Bitcoin 28,284, not too bad. Ethereum 1855. The Shanghai upgrade is in 2 days supposedly, so I guess we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen with the market. It's gonna be quite interesting. All right, so this is the top 100 daily crypto bubbles. Let me scroll in here. There we go. Caspa 10.6% up today. Nice, not too bad. On the month, it's up 179%. Geez, crazy, killing it. What is BGB? Anybody know? 8.8% up. Interesting. All right, let's check out the Fear and Greed Index. We are looking at 62. Not too bad overall. That's really not bad at all. All right, top 10 coins: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, USD Coin, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoin, Lido Staked Ether, and Polygon. Seems like everything's pretty much exactly the same as we left it last Friday. All right, so this is the playing already. Interesting. Hold on. That means I gotta pause this one too. So I have Crypto Zombie. We have a video from him we're gonna watch, and we're going to watch this Coin Bureau video about the Restrict Act. So I thought it was quite interesting. He kind of breaks it down for you to explain what it is. And to be honest, the TikTok stuff is pretty crazy how much information they do take from you. I actually just deleted the app because it's kind of yeah, I knew, but I didn't know this much, right? So let's get into it and listen to it. Geek of all trades said BGB is big big gorgeous. Oh, you're terrible. All right, we're just gonna leave that alone. Wait, I don't think that's right. I mean, it's accurate, but maybe not in the right context. Oh, you suck. All right, anyways, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Let's get into this. Let's see what they have to say over here. Mr. Coin Bureau. I'll leave a link to this video down in the description below, guys. Go sub to him if you aren't already. All right, let's do it. Oh.
Could the US government soon have full control of information online? Well, a recent US bill aimed at reining in TikTok has a strong chance of becoming law.
The Biden administration is increasing pressure on the popular app TikTok.
Over the last couple of years, we've seen governments around the world increase their scrutiny of TikTok due to its connections to the Chinese government. This scrutiny has escalated into calls for an outright ban of the app in some countries, and it appears some governments are using their banned TikTok bills as Trojan horses for unprecedented internet censorship. That's why today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this US bill before it's too late.
Oh boy, let's do it.
Let's start with a quick bit of background. As I explained in the introduction, governments around the world have been scrutinizing TikTok for years due to its connections to the Chinese government. This is in part because TikTok collects an unbelievable amount of data.
I'm going to put a poll in the chat real quick. I want to know if you guys actually use TikTok. I know Geek of all trades does, and he actually got banned from live streaming last week. I think it's lifted though, so he's going to try it again. But either way, I want to know if you guys use TikTok or not.
About its users. Literally everything. Your name, your age, your phone number, your contacts, your location, the images and videos on your phone, everything you type on your phone, including the messages you're sending and receiving.
Isn't that insane? Did you guys hear everything he just said? How much they actually gain from you? Listen to that again. How much they are collecting. And I'm pretty sure they have access to your camera and microphone as well, which is quite interesting.
Collects an unbelievable amount of data about its users. Literally everything. Your name, your age, your phone number, your contacts, your location, the images and videos on your phone, everything you type on your phone, including the messages you're sending and receiving. It can even access your camera and microphone, And it can do all of this even when you're not using the app.
Did you hear that? When you're not using the app, it can still access all that bullshit. I'm not sure if a lot of you guys knew that. I mean, I heard that before on actually Joe Rogan's podcast. They were talking about it. But this, like, he's literally diving into it hard. So, I don't know. It's crazy. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to delete this thing because I don't need it anymore. I don't use it anyways.
Now, TikTok surveillance apologists have argued that it's no different from being tracked and traced by an American tech company like Google or Microsoft. The thing is that there are two very important differences. First, governments need permission to access user data in most Western countries. Secondly, and more importantly, this data is being shared with a foreign government that is the geopolitical rival of most Western powers. Consider a scenario where the Chinese government orders ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, to execute a cyber attack on every device with TikTok downloaded in the United States. Not good.
That was my trigger moment to delete that app, by the way, like immediately.
That wouldn't be far off from the kind of cyber attack the World Economic Forum has been talking about for years. More about that in the description. I digress. Now, the other part of why there's been so much scrutiny about TikTok ties into the first, and that's the algorithm. There have been countless reports of TikTok feeding straight-up evil content to people in the West. Recent reports have focused on TikTok's promotion of eating disorders and suicide.
What?
Meanwhile, Douyin, China's version of TikTok, also owned by ByteDance, shows young people videos of things being built,
like
discoveries being made, and other meaningful things being accomplished.
Isn't that messed up? So they more or less they give all of their country on TikTok, their app that they're allowed to use, which is also called TikTok, I assume, right? It's literally completely different. It's all educational, and they give us all the bullshit just to make us, like, you know what I mean? Just absorb bullshit. It's so stupid. I don't know. It's crazy.
In other words, it promotes the exact opposite kind of content that TikTok does in most Western countries. Now, it doesn't take a geopolitical expert to realize that this is an overt form of information warfare, and it begs the question of what should be done about it. Well, the simple answer is to ban TikTok, and this is something that former US President Donald Trump famously proposed way back in 2020.
He did.
ByteDance initially agreed to meet Trump halfway by selling its US operations to Microsoft. This would, of course, result in keeping all the data the app collected in the US away from China. To my understanding, the sale fell through after ByteDance rejected the offer. In any case, the idea of a TikTok ban was ditched after US President Joe Biden revoked Trump's related executive order in 2021. At the time, the proposed ban was seen as political suicide due to the app's popularity. Over the last year or so, however, US politicians have changed their tune on TikTok. Now, as far as I can tell, the renewed calls to ban TikTok began late last year when the Biden administration put together the US government's $1.7 trillion spending bill for 2023. A provision to ban TikTok from government devices is buried in the over 4,000-page bill, which passed in December. In the months that followed, close allies of the US followed suit in banning TikTok from government devices, namely the UK and the EU. Now, this makes sense considering that TikTok may be sharing sensitive information about these Western government devices with the Chinese government. Then, on the 7th of March, Democrat politician Mark Warner and Republican politician John Thune introduced a bill titled, quote, Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats That Risk Information and Communications Technology Act, aka the Restrict Act. US lawmakers do love...
Now, real quick on the Restrict Act thing, right? So I agree with the whole banning TikTok thing. I don't really give a shit about it either way, but that's fine. It's all the other bullshit that's kind of thrown into the Restrict Act, like the VPN thing, right? Like they're going to give you like 20 years in jail or a $200,000 fine if you more or less use a VPN and get caught, you know, say using an exchange overseas or just accessing websites overseas or wherever. It's just, that is a little far-fetched to me, but I don't know. I kind of get the TikTok thing. We had in the chat, I said, do you use TikTok? I put a poll in there. No said 85% and yes said 14. We had 41 votes. Now I just put a new poll in the chat. I want to know if you guys actually downloaded the app, because the app is the thing that kind of has access to all your life now if you have that on your phone. And I don't know if that changes if you delete it. Like if you delete that app, if you've given them previous permissions, does that negate the contract that you downloaded the app and now they have access to all your stuff, or do they still have access? Does anybody know? If you guys know that in the chat, let me know. I'm going to look that up later, actually.
Love their acronyms, don't they? Now, I'll quickly note that the bill is supposed to be about banning TikTok. On that same day, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan issued a statement applauding the introduction of the Restrict Act. He highlighted the widespread support the bill has received from politicians of both political parties. Put simply, there's a high likelihood that it will become law. As often happens in such cases, it took people a couple of weeks to realize that the Restrict Act has almost nothing to do with banning TikTok.
Right.
It seems
That's
people started to take notice after TikTok CEO Xu Zhiqiu testified before US politicians who took advantage of the opportunity to shill the Restrict Act. In the days that followed, the internet erupted with outrage over the contents of the bill. Dozens of Twitter threads about these details went viral. Popular alternative media publications on both sides of the political spectrum published punchy pieces opposing the, quote, insanely broad provisions.
Yeah, that's crazy. The Restrict Act would restrict a lot more than TikTok. That's crazy. Once again, politicians use popular fears to push for open-ended power. Yeah, that's the problem. It's not just about TikTok now. It's about every website that you're not supposed to access in the US with a VPN. So in the chat, Kyle Rosa said you have to nuke the phone, which is kind of shitty. I'm gonna have to look into that, and I want to see like what that consists of. Like, how do you nuke the permissions of that app alone without like killing your entire phone? You know what I mean? Let's see. Yeah, the wife said, "Oh, boo," because she said, "Does that change if you delete it?" So apparently not. Even if you delete the app, you still have to go into your phone. I don't know. And be honest in the poll. I really want to know if you guys downloaded that app.
Not surprisingly, there was almost no coverage from the mainstream media, and most of the coverage continues to fact-check what's being said about the bill. Surprisingly, there was quite a bit of coverage from the crypto media, and that's because the Restrict Act could be used to ban crypto in the US. Many of the crypto headlines about the bill were about an article published by Coin Center, a crypto think tank based in Washington, D.C. The article in question is titled, quote, "The Restrict Act creates blanket authority with few checks to ban just about anything linked to a foreign adversary." In the article, the authors explain that the Restrict Act is analogous to a law passed in the 1970s which prohibits Americans from transacting with sanctioned entities. The difference is that the Restrict Act would sanction transactions in which so-called foreign adversaries, quote, "have an interest." The Act itself specifies that an interest includes, quote, "the provision of the technology or service." This means that Americans could face fines and jail time for using cryptocurrencies if any of the mining or validating is being done by an entity or in a country considered to be an adversary of the USA.
That's so weird. That's crazy. What was I going to say? Someone else said in the chat that it's the same thing as Alexa, right? I don't have an Alexa. I've never agreed with that stuff. And yeah, that kind of creeps me out in the same way, right? Like this thing can listen to you talk and all that. I mean, not that your phone typically can't, right? Like, cause it can. You can put, there's a way to turn on, like if you have your earphones in, like say your AirPods, right? You can put your phone in the other room and put it on like listen, and it'll like literally just communicate whatever's speaking in the room and you can hear it. Like, you know, it's crazy. So the things they can do, they already have access to everything, but it's crazy giving access like that to a actual app that, you know, was made overseas. It's crazy. Treat it like a virus, said Kyle Rosa. Yeah, that sucks, man. It's crazy. All right, let's keep going.
Now, believe it or not, but this barely scratches the surface of how ridiculous the Restrict Act is. Now, before I break down the Restrict Act, I must give a shout out to Lewis Rossman, who did a detailed breakdown of the bill on his channel, and added some much-needed context.
I'm going to go check out this guy's video after this. I'm not going to watch it here today, but yeah, go like and sub to that guy. I guess it's in the description of his video. So yeah, I'll try to put it in the description of mine as well.
Be sure to check out his channel using the link in the description. Trust me when I say that it is extremely underrated. Now, the bill begins by specifying that all the powers within it will be given to the United States Secretary of Commerce. For context, the Secretary of Commerce is appointed by whoever happens to be the president at the time. This appointment is approved by the majority of senior US politicians. Next, the bill gives some definitions, and there are a couple worth pointing out. The first is covered transactions, which means a transaction in which a foreign adversary has any interest. Remember that bit? Again, it's the Secretary of Commerce who determines which entity is a foreign adversary. The second definition worth pointing out is critical infrastructure, and its meaning comes from the infamous Patriot Act. Lewis explained in his video about the bill that the Patriot Act defines critical infrastructure in such a way that it can apply to basically anything that the government sees fit. The third definition worth pointing out is foreign adversary because it actually includes a few examples. Naturally, it lists China, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. It also includes Venezuela, but only so long as the country is ruled by Nicolas Maduro. Regime change coming to Venezuela soon, Jokes aside, the next section of the bill deals with, quote, information and communication technology products that pose undue or unacceptable risk. Obviously, it's once again the Secretary of Commerce who determines which information and technology poses a risk to the national security of the United States. The bill notes one of the risks as being anything that could, quote, undermine democratic processes and institutions or steer policy and regulatory decisions in favor of the strategic objectives of a foreign adversary. In other words, if you oppose the US government in any way, you're in big trouble. Now, this ties into something that Lewis noticed in the 7th section of the bill, and that's that lobbyists will be allowed to advise the Secretary of Commerce as to which products and services should be labelled foreign adversaries and banned in the US. This would inevitably lead to a monopoly in every industry.
That's literally the perfect picture. Handed money under the table. This is Sam Bankman-Fried right here. This is what happened with FTX, if anybody's wondering. Exactly what happened.
Later on, in Section 11, the bill reveals exactly what fines and jail time Americans would suffer for interacting in any way with an entity deemed a foreign adversary, or doing anything that could be labelled a risk to national security. It starts by saying that attempts to evade these laws are illegal. Now, this is code for a crackdown on virtual private networks, or VPNs, which is one aspect of the bill that went viral.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
For reference, VPNs provide privacy when you browse websites, and they let you access foreign websites.
But let me ask this, right? So if VPNs actually work the way they're supposed to work, right? How can they catch you using it, right? Like there's obviously a way to trace it back to you. So how good is a VPN actually, if that's the case? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know there's bigger fish to fry. They're not just going to come after every average Joe using a VPN, but in general, it's kind of concerning, right? Am I wrong? Like, do you guys think the same way? Like, that's concerning as hell that they could still kind of go back and trace it, with the VPN? I don't know. Strange. Weird to me.
It's noted that the US government has been trying to ban VPNs for at least 15 years. Then,
Jesus.
when it comes to the actual punishments,
I didn't know that.
Americans can face up to $250,000 in fines for civil penalties.
Oh, it's just a slap on the wrist, right? You guys all have $250,000 laying around.
For criminal penalties,
So
the
stupid.
fines can be as much as $1 million, result in up to 20 years in prison, and even result in the government seizing your assets.
I wonder if they give you a care package of like Vaseline in a little baggie before they send you to jail for using a VPN.
Still no mention of banning TikTok, by the way. But wait, there's more. In the 12th section of the bill, there's a sentence which reads, quote, Actions taken by the Secretary under this Act shall not be subject to Sections 551, 553 through 559, and 701 through 707 of Title V United States Code. Lewis looked up these sections in his video, and it means there's no oversight. Specifically, it will not be possible for Americans to submit Freedom of Information requests to understand why it is that the Secretary of Commerce is labeling some entities as foreign adversaries or some activities as high risk. As a cherry on top, neither Congress nor the courts can request information. Now, these disturbing details are why the Restrict Act is being referred to by many as the Patriot Act for the Internet, or Patriot Act 2.0.
Right, because it's bullshit. It's like it literally violates all of your rights. Like, it's crazy.
Unfamiliar, the Patriot Act was passed in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks in 2001. Its provisions permitted spying on everyone in the name of fighting terrorism. As some of you will know, the Patriot Act was supposed to be temporary, but in 2013, an intelligence consultant named Edward Snowden blew the whistle on the ongoing surveillance. He also revealed that other governments around the world are engaged in similarly extensive levels of domestic surveillance.
That guy has disappeared since. I'm totally kidding. But they just took him out because he opened his mouth.
As a fun fact, the Patriot Act is apparently the origin of all the KYC requirements in finance today. You'll know this if you've been keeping up with our coverage of the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF. The Restrict Act could result in KYC requirements online, hence why...
Hold on. Can you guys look at this guy's... Look at his shirt. I think he sells merch, by the way. This guy, Coin Bureau. Look at that shirt. That's awesome. It's a snail. It's gold. It's coins, a Visa, and then Bitcoin on the evolution scale of life. That's hysterical. Sorry, I wasn't even listening to what he just said, but that's I love that shirt.
Patriot Act 2.0 is an accurate alias. Now, I'll remind you that the Restrict Act has a good chance of becoming law. Last I checked, the bill has at least 20 supporters in the Senate, which consists of 100 senior politicians. If it passes the Senate, it will head to the House, and if passed there, it will be signed off by Biden and officially become law. It's too soon to say whether the bill will survive this circuit, but it's already clear that it's causing a backlash against all the other bills that are trying to ban TikTok. This was made apparent when Rand Paul blocked Josh Hawley's bill in order to fast-track his own bill to ban TikTok. Note that both are Republicans. In stark contrast to the Restrict Act, the originally titled No TikTok on United States Devices Act does actually ban TikTok.
And someone in the chat said they love his coffee cup. I do too. It's that dog meme where it just says I'm fine and everything around him's on fire. He does sell that in his store, by the way.
More importantly, this second bill isn't packed with provisions that give the government more power. It's only 4 sections long and only provides specifics around the TikTok ban itself. Now, unfortunately, the video showing the exchange between Rand and Josh has a lot of comments from uninformed viewers claiming that the bill he tried to fast-track will lead to government surveillance. This isn't the case at all, but the exchange did put the TikTok ban into perspective. Josh's arguments for banning TikTok are essentially the same as the ones I mentioned earlier. TikTok collects everything. It shares sensitive data with the CCP about journalists and politicians, and this ban has been a long time coming as a result. He also revealed that TikTok has been lobbying against the ban. Now, Rand's reason for blocking Josh's TikTok ban was that it sets a dangerous precedent for the US government to do the same to other apps it doesn't like. He also argued that it goes against the First Amendment, free speech, and that it's technically illegal to ban TikTok in the US because of this.
Let's be real. TikTok is a bunch of bullshit. Like, I don't know if you guys have been on it, I'm sure, right? It's literally you just scrolling, feeding your brain with a bunch of nonsense. That's literally all it is. There's nothing useful on there except for like some things, all right? I've only seen a few things that are worth watching. Most of it is stupid dances and just dumb shit. That's why I just got off it, because there's no point. I haven't used it in months, and today I deleted it because it's terrifying.
Then proclaimed that people have the ability to know what's good and what's bad, and that they have the power to uninstall the app if they feel it's bad for them. He said that you should fear your own government, not China's, and asked if internet censorship is more dangerous than questionable content. Josh fired back by saying that the First Amendment doesn't protect China's ability to spy on US citizens. Josh also seemed to imply that Rand had been paid by TikTok's lobbyists to block his attempt to fast-track the ban. Now, I highly doubt this. Rand is a libertarian. He is wary of all governments everywhere. It sucks that his valid viewpoints could soon be suppressed by all the internet censorship laws being rolled out by governments around the world. More about those in the description. Now, to wrap things up, I want to try and settle the debate. Should TikTok be banned? Well, to my mind, this debate is similar to the ones about banning or legalizing drugs. If you think about it, social media platforms like TikTok are mental drugs of sorts, and they come with their own unique benefits and risks. Suppose you ban this mental drug. Chances are that people will still find some way to get their hands on it, in this case using VPNs and the like. Now, this is a problem because you would lose oversight of how this drug is being used. Attempts to crack down on VPNs also wouldn't go over well and would be opposed. Now suppose you legalize this mental drug. Chances are that it will be relentlessly promoted by the individuals and institutions that profit from it. This is a problem because it would lead to excess consumption and give rise to the kind of extreme content that we see on most social media today. This underscores another dimension to the TikTok ban debate. TikTok isn't the only game in town. Other social media platforms such as Instagram have effectively copied its video flow. Banning TikTok could therefore result in users gradually switching to alternatives like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, for instance. As such, the toxic algorithms would persist due to the perverse incentive structure that comes with legalization. The only thing you would have addressed is sharing user data with the Chinese government. Instead, it would likely be shared with the US government. Remember, the Patriot Act still exists. Now, the same outcome would occur if ByteDance was forced to sell TikTok to an American company. You would just be replacing the Chinese government with the US government. Sensitive data would still be shared.
Mr. RC in the chat actually asked, he missed part of the stream. Do they still have access after deleting the app? Kyle Rosa actually in the chat said you have to nuke the phone, which I'm going to look into a little later today because I personally want to know. I did delete the app this morning after listening to this. I mean, I knew I probably should have a while ago, but I still haven't used TikTok in forever. But regardless, they can access a buttload of stuff like your phone, all your pictures, your camera, your microphone. They can access all your contacts, who you're calling, who you're messaging, everything. And it's kind of wild. It really is. But I don't know. Hopefully I don't have to break my phone. That's not what I want to do today.
And given how the US government has been acting lately, that wouldn't be that different in practice. Regarding the algorithm, it's true that giving the US government de facto control of TikTok through some big tech company would probably result in less destructive content suggestions. However, I don't imagine giving the US government control of social media algorithms is a good long-term strategy either. Come to think of it, the whole reason why we're having this debate about banning TikTok is because of the government. On the one hand, we have China collecting data and weaponizing the algorithm. On the other hand, we have the US, which will do the same when given the chance, assuming it's not already. So, what's the right answer in this debate? Easy. Get the government out of social media. Rand Paul is right, but I'm sure he knows this will be impossible to do so long as social media remains centralized. That's why the only solution is to create truly decentralized social media which can't be controlled. In practical terms, this means legalizing the ability to make your own decentralized mental drugs using cryptocurrency. However, this kind of legalization will be easier said than done. After all, governments are the biggest dealers of the centralized mental drugs we all use now, and they don't want any competition.
Right, they'd shut that shit down.
And that's all for today's video, folks.
Crazy. Appreciate Mr. Guy from Coin Bureau for that video. If you guys haven't subbed to him, go check him out. That's crazy, though. That's crazy. It's super concerning. It's super concerning about TikTok. But Geek of All Trades made a good point. he did say in the chat that if you look at the actual agreement when you're downloading an app, on a lot of apps, they do require all access. So all access is all access. It's everything, right? Phones, contacts, messages, camera, microphone, usually, right? It's everything. But I just, you know, sending things to a country that's not so friendly, that's where, you know, the line is kind of drawn, at least in my opinion. But anyways, let's see. All right, we have another video from Mr. Crypto Zombie that I want to watch because I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm gonna hit that like on that. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like in here. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. We have a Bitcoin alert, danger ahead. This won't be easy. Extreme historic moment. I kind of want to see what he has to say. This was posted a day ago, so let's get into this. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to just ask in the chat. I'm gonna kill this poll as well, and I might put another one up here or there. So let's do it. Let's see what he has to say.
Can you imagine any circumstance where, you know, Bitcoin actually loses its usefulness in a sense? Nobody wants to use it for anything. They just want to hold it. And, you know, what happens then, right? If you're trying to manage an economy around Bitcoin.
The biggest difference is in 2008, USD was too big to fail. In 2023, it's not. And if it does go down, we don't want China to be that reserve currency. We do want it to be Bitcoin, a freedom currency. If you think that the Fed isn't simply piloting in the wrong direction, but actually crashing the plane, how do you make your way to the parachute? And I think that parachute, that exit, is BTC.
What is happening? Wait, that guy's way too happy. What is happening? Oh, that was great. And like partial abuse.
What's going on, guys?
Gray said me and my wife. Oh, that's terrible. All right. I'm gonna scoot forward a little bit on this video just because it's super long and we don't have that much time, but that was the beginning to his videos are always epic. There's always some stupid like pun or just something funny. So shout out to Crypto Zombie, guys. I'll leave a link to him down in the description below.
There is a big move coming, but this is basically some of the news that we missed. And you can see this is from Watch Guru. Now listen to some of these headlines and you tell me how you feel about the current.
Yeah, let's put it to, what is it? 1.25 speed. All right, let's do it. I should have did that for the other one too.
Situation. So first of all, you have Saudi Arabia entering a trade alliance with China, Russia, India, Pakistan, and 4 Central Asian nations to step farther away from reliance on the US dollar. You also have China and France complete first LNG gas trade using the yuan, ending the reliance on, you guessed it, the dollar. China and Brazil to settle trades in their own currencies. Again, ditching the dollar. Kenya signals deals with Saudi Arabia and UAE to buy oil with Kenyan shillings instead of dollars. President of Kenya tells citizens to get rid of US dollars. Association of Southeast Asian Nations considers dropping the US dollar. India to settle trade in rupees with certain countries instead of the US dollar.
Dude, this is super concerning, by the way. There's a lot of countries that don't want to use the US dollar anymore. And yeah, I feel like things are only going to get a little bit worse. So we're going to have to see.
Chinese yuan has actually surpassed the euro to become Brazil's second largest currency in foreign reserves. Not to mention, on top of things, just side note, and this is just what we missed. This is just what we missed. There's so much more to talk about. U.S. Social Security funds are projected to run out by 2033. This is according to a Reuters report. So as you guys can see, things are not looking too great right now. And again, I am not rooting for the downfall or the demise of the US. I live here. That's not what I want. But I have to be realistic. We have to be realistic about, whether or not we're just going to, first of all, just sit back and take this. Do we want to live in a surveillance state? And on top of that, are we not going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is clearly the fact that Bitcoin is gaining steam? You also have former President Trump saying that Biden is directly responsible for bank failures, and Biden says that the banking crisis is not over yet. So this is just all of the things that we just happened to miss in the past 4 days. Now, before I get to the headlines of today, I did want to just talk about 2 fundamental things for Bitcoin. Number one, Glassnode pointed out, if we have a look at the addresses, that the recent surge in price action has propelled the number of non-zero Bitcoin addresses to an all-time high of 45.5 million, with only 96 out of 5206 data points recording a larger 14-day change in absolute terms. They're saying this suggests the degree of on-chain activity is currently improving. Now, again, I always...
Real quick, I have a question, right? So Matt Electron in the chat actually said we won't be the world standard in the next decade or two. Now, if the U.S. came out with, say, a U.S. coin, right, where that could be the new standard, that was a cryptocurrency, do you guys think that they would adopt it for, the standard basically, or would it just still people wouldn't care and they would go to Bitcoin? I'm just curious to know what you guys think. I'll put a poll in the chat in just a second.
Say take this metric with a grain of salt, because we don't know if these are new individuals that have wallets or if it's the same person having 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100 different wallets, right? So we do have to be careful with this type of data, but they do say something we can gauge. One method is the rising demand in the market with the value of fees investors are willing to pay to process their transactions. This is interesting. Currently, the 90-day SMA for fees is outpacing its yearly average, suggesting that new demand is in fact entering the market. So again, going back to this, could it just be one whale with 100 wallets? Possibly, but this specifically suggests that it is new demand that could be entering. Could it be Apple? Is Apple secretly buying? We'll get to that in just a minute, but the scary thing that we need to start with is the fact that we have this FedNow coming out. Now, although it's not really a technical CBDC, how far will they really be able to control things with this? I mean, it's still a centralized platform, I'm assuming. Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential bid, they say, could lead to greater Bitcoin adoption. Now, although he hasn't quite come out and said he's necessarily like 100% pro-crypto, he has come out and says that he is anti-CBDC. According to him, this would allow the government to surveil all private financial affairs, limiting where individuals can send money and where they can spend it. So he warns that this could be the first step towards banning and seizing Bitcoin, similar to what the Treasury did with gold in 1933. Now, here is the big question. What actually happens if they do attempt to do this? What happens if from a federal level, they come out and try to implement something? Well, that is exactly what Balaji was talking about over on Kathy Wood's ARK Invest podcast. And I just wanted to play this clip from it because this is a very possible likely scenario. And, it could just be about that time. There really hasn't been that sort of revolution really in the States in a long time. And, considering that I believe it's over half of people have at least had some exposure to crypto. I think 30% are currently actively holding and buying right now. Plus, let's be honest, the entire generation of millennials is pretty much for the most part pro Bitcoin. I don't find too many people that are against it. Some people, maybe they go, I don't understand it. I don't get it. But I don't hear many people against it. So this is kind of what he thinks could happen. And listen to this clip all the way to the end. It does have a nice bullish ring, specifically at the end.
I just put a poll in the chat. I want you guys to answer it. So I asked if the U.S. made a coin, like a USD or a Fed coin, could that potentially be the new standard, or will Bitcoin still be number one? You guys let me know what you think in the chat.
Mentioned that Florida might do state-chartered banks banking crypto, right?
It's a rumor. There are a number of states, the Dakotas and Florida among them, the states that are trying to attract capital and labor.
Absolutely. That's right. So all these regional banks are getting killed and so on. And in a sense, there's a real deviation of interest between state and local versus the feds, right? And so what I think could happen is bitcoin.florida.gov, bitcoin.texas.gov, bitcoin.mississippi.gov, and bitcoin.montana.gov. All of these states, which, Texas GOP has passed something where it has in its platform, the right to buy, sell, send, and receive Bitcoin shall not be infringed. The mayor of Miami takes a salary in Bitcoin. Mississippi and Montana have Bitcoin mining protection bills. Wyoming and Tennessee have DAO bills, right? So lots of these red and purple states. Colorado accepts taxes in cryptocurrency. New Hampshire is pro-cryptocurrency, right? Lots of these, let's say red and purplish kind of states or pro-freedom states are pro-cryptocurrency. And if they reopen the gold window, okay, if you had bitcoin.florida.gov, bitcoin.texas.gov, where it's like basically a very simple exchange. It's like Coinbase circa 2013. You can buy, sell, send, receive Bitcoin. You can place limit orders. You've got a fiat USD BTC order book. That's it. And it's set up for you to just take your Bitcoin off the exchange within, a few days, or right away, ideally. It's not meant to be something where you hold it there. They just keep pinging you to take it off, right? And then what happens is the state just takes a cut of that. So they're now accumulating a digital gold position. Okay. Why is this important? Why do I think of this as a positive development? Well, first is, DeSantis and others have come out against the CBDC, but what are they for? They're anti-CBDC, which is digital serfdom. They're for Bitcoin, which is digital freedom. Okay. And so now you can be for something rather than simply against, and you have essentially a Bitcoin-backed local state government, right? Where this is the move against the feds. And then the question is, okay, will the feds, will the Fed try, or the little Fed, try to shut down FedWire and ACH and other access to these banks? Will they cut off Florida? Will they cut off Texas? I think that's probably a bridge too far. If they did do it, it would show the potential financial totalitarianism incipient in a CBDC. If they didn't do it, well, the fiat rails would be open. And the reason I think something like this is going to happen is it's a next logical step after, for example, El Salvador adopting Bitcoin, mayors adopting Bitcoin, because right now, you have the government going and fighting Coinbase and Binance, and that's government versus company. A company doesn't necessarily have enough hit points to fight a government, but another government does. You see in Pacific Rim, to fight giant monsters, you need giant robots, right? So if you have a state like Florida and Texas with a lot of hit points that is now, that can't go easily bust. That's got a lot of credibility and reputation. And if you have a lot of red and purple states that share their order books, their USD BTC order books, that is now something which keeps the USD BTC window open, allows exit from the system, benefits local states because they can accumulate digital gold, builds upon the existing shall not be infringed, DAO language, minor language, mayors accepting Bitcoin, El Salvador as a sovereign currency, and finally can be internationalized because Nayib Bukele held a meeting of, I think, like 44 small countries, bankers, and has been planting seeds about, what it's like to transition your country over to a partial Bitcoin standard. So you also have this happening globally where small countries like, Palau, for example, that are pro-crypto could do this, okay? If that happens, if the digital gold window is reopened after Nixon closed the gold window in 1971, at the same time, by the way, that China is a totally different animal and they're moving oil and other transfers over to the petro yuan, the biggest difference is in 2008, USD was too big to fail. In 2023, it's not. And if it does go down, we don't want China to be that reserve currency. We do want it to be Bitcoin, a freedom currency. And I think that actually the moves that I'm describing, that is like the positive vision of the future. If this system is going to go down, let's have an orderly exit. If you think that the Fed isn't simply piloting in the wrong direction, but actually crashing the plane, how do you make your way to the parachute? And I think that parachute, that exit, is BTC. Of course, you might have different opinion. You might go and get gold. You might get oil. You might do other kinds of things. That's not financial advice for people to decide, but I do think that will end up being the Schelling point. I may be wrong, but that's my thesis on why I think we see exit from the U.S. banking system towards Bitcoin over the next weeks and months and perhaps years to come. The exact timeline of 90 days, I don't think it's impossible that happens given how fast digital bank runs happen, but directionally it's much easier. Timing is hard, prepping is easy. Prep for essentially, just like you prep for COVID and prepping earlier was better. If lockdown came in 42 days after some of the initial reports of COVID in the US, who knows how quickly digital lockdown comes. The Fed now is dropping in July. So before that happens, build the exits, build the exit to Bitcoin, build the exit to other kinds of things. And I think we have potentially a positive vision there. Thank you.
Okay.
And honestly, you even have other people coming out. For example, the head of the NYDFS assured in a recent interview that the relevant watchdogs closed Signature Bank because it had multiple uninsured deposits and lacked liquidity. They said crypto had no relation to Signature Bank's closure. So all these media outlets that are trying to flip it, no, you can see right here, New York finance regulator says it was not crypto, it was directly with the bank. And we've seen this insane overstep, right, from the SEC. You have U.S. Congressman Tom Emmer talking about Gary Gensler and how he's been acting, and he believes that the SEC boss shares the same anti-crypto belief with billionaire Warren Buffett and has been blindly cracking down on the cryptocurrency industry while neglecting the real bad industry players. He says this guy, in my mind, is a bad faith regulator. He's been blindly spraying the crypto community with enforcement actions while completely missing the truly bad actors, right? We got Bits Lotto and we charged Kim Kardashian and a couple celebrities, but that FTX thing and all the other collapses that happened. Yeah, exactly, guys. And once again, Coinbase, Kraken, all these guys, they're asking for the clear regulation and they're just not being provided with it. Now, you may have heard this news, but there's a part 2 to it. So in a surprising discovery, I'm going to talk about some news and then we'll get to the charts. Technology blogger Andy Bayo has found that a copy of the groundbreaking Bitcoin white paper has been secretly included in Mac OS.
Oh, did you guys hear that actually? That was this weekend, or was it the end of last week that the white papers was buried in every MacBook made after 2018 or 2019? Yeah, 2018. There we go. He says it actually right here. It's so weird, and everybody's speculating that, the Apple founder is Satoshi, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know.
This was confirmed, and a device named Virtual Scanner 2 stores the Bitcoin white paper within the image capture utility. In order to be able to see the Bitcoin white paper, users can open a terminal on their Mac and type a specific command. Alternatively, they can navigate through the system folder in Finder. So this was getting a lot of people, starting to talk about Apple. Why is it there? Is this a conscious effort by the entire team of Apple, or was it just one kind of secret savvy tech guy that slid it in there and nobody noticed, right? That could be
I think that's what happened, probably. It's probably somebody in the background that just threw it in as a joke. But I do want to take the wife's computer later and see if I can find it, because it would be funny. So I'm going to borrow your MacBook that I bought you a couple years ago and see.
Possibility too, like a little bit of an Easter egg by the devs, right? But back in August of last year, you had Jason Lowry, who, by the way, has had one of the top, I believe on Amazon, he has had the number.
So hard at everything you do, heart, and now you can't say we are just paying YouTube, smiley face, winking face, smiling face with hearts.
Appreciate whoever just donated. I got to get used to that thing reading out loud. I'm sorry, I muted the wrong button. I appreciate that though. Whoever just donated, let me I'll go check in a second.
Technology, which is a Bitcoin book, for the past few weeks. It might have even been 6 weeks. So this guy's getting a lot of notoriety and attention recently with his book. And he says, my Bitcoin white whale is Apple. When she blows, it will force many others to take position as a hedge. By going heavy into Bitcoin early, we pre-diversify across the entire tech industry for pennies on the dollar. I don't have to guess which stocks win because I know the winners will own Bitcoin. And he says she's coming, right? So this kind of brings us into, where are we right now? Is this just a giant fake out rally? Is there something truly fundamental behind this? Or is it just everything's technical news, doesn't matter, forget the fundamentals? Well, Anthony Scaramucci, he actually does think that the bear market is over.
Now, you're asking about the volatility in the crypto markets. Bitcoin's down from 100 vol. It's probably a 50 vol asset right now. There is Bitcoin in that portfolio through some of our hedge fund exposure. I would guess right now that we're through the bear market. And again, that is a guess. We don't know. But any time that you've held Bitcoin in a 4-year rolling interval, so you pick the day, hold it for 4 years, you've outperformed every other asset class. We made that position. We made that investment in November, December of 2020. We are up on that position. Now we're down from the high, and that's what gets all the press because the press likes car crashes. But we're up on the position from November of 2020. And let's see where the position is as we enter into the halving cycle in February of 2000 or April of 2024. I like the odds there.
So of course the reality is that nobody ever knows. Of course, while everyone was calling for lower lows, we were getting very bullish on Bitcoin. Right now, we are entering into that area where you may see some people start to potentially take some profits. But something I want to point out, and this has always been an amazing indicator for huge volatile moves, is these Bollinger Bands. And you can see right here, basically in a nutshell, the closer they get to each other, the tighter they get, the more probability of a crazy move you're going to have. Now,
does anybody trade here? Anybody in the chat? I'm going to kill this poll as well real quick before we continue this video. And thanks to the wife for the $10 super chat. It came up anonymous. That's why I didn't know who it was. But stop donating. We live together. We have the same accounts. Oh, no. What just happened? Did my stream just stop? Nope. I don't think so. All right. We should be good. I don't know what the hell that was. Anyways, all right. I'm going to kill this poll. You guys said in the chat... Let me just see. Let's see what it came up with. So results, I said if the U.S. made a USD/Fed coin, could that be the potential new standard, or will Bitcoin still be number one in your, obviously, opinion, right? And Bitcoin for the win said 54%. No, the U.S. standard is over, said 26%. Yes, the U.S. coin would take over, 14%, and see results, 4%. So interesting. All right, let's continue. I'm wondering if you guys use these Bollinger Bands. It's I'm not really into the whole trading thing. I probably should be, but I just don't have time for it.
Insanely enough, guys, you can see that the last time that we sort of consolidated, this tight on the bands, we basically went from around the $16,000 level all the way up to about $24,000. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't tell you which direction we're going to be moving. It is just suggesting that the move is on its way. And you can see, like, the last time we've got, here's even another move down here, where volatility all the way down to 21 and then up to 25, and that happened all just within a few days, right? I can go back farther and we can see more history, but, you can see that this is arguably one of the tightest that the bands have been in a very, very long time. The last real time was right here before we had this massive move. And actually, just to take that top to bottom, it was about a 50% Bitcoin move. So yeah, guys, this is potentially the calm before the storm.
That'd be nice.
Could we just keep bouncing around and consolidating into basically a flat line? Possibly, but generally speaking, Bitcoin doesn't usually get past 70%. We could, but the charts are definitely suggesting that we're going to see some volatility relatively soon. Very interesting, though. Makes you wonder what we're doing just hanging around this level. Now, just because we're hanging around this level and we're not able to break the resistance, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bearish. This was coming off of a down move here, this area right here, and you can see that, yes, we did come down, we consolidated sideways, but then we fell again. But that's because we had that momentum to the downside, right? Now that we have the momentum to the upside, it could be possible that we go sideways and then come up to our target, which we've had for quite some time, at around 32.
So what I'm thinking here is, right, the Shanghai upgrade again is in 2 days. Now, I'm going to put a poll in the chat. What do you guys think? Do you think that people are going to unstake their Ethereum and throw it into Bitcoin and that's going to cause the rise? Or do you think that, I don't know, Ethereum it's just going to be no effect? But that would probably be the catalyst for a rise in price, at least in my opinion. That's what I would think.
Do have a minor pullback, even down to retest this Terra Luna crash right here, which was flipped resistance. Could we hit that as support? Absolutely. And I would still be bullish. So even if Bitcoin fell back down to 25,300, still you'd be confirming a higher low and you would be flipping that. Now, we did have this fractal, a little bit scary, right? If we take this fractal, right, and we move it down over here, you can kind of see the similarities. You see, guys, it's not an exact fractal, but you can see how, we sort of had this rounded area crash, and then we came up, and now we're hitting that resistance. So I just want to show you, but it doesn't mean that that's going to happen, right? This is just a fractal. One other fractal that was pointed out by Mags, he says the current price action on Bitcoin actually looks identical to the 2013 bear market bottom, where price broke out of the downtrend and traded sideways for several weeks before any further upside. Being bearish here is like being bearish when Bitcoin was doing the same thing at $350, right? But you can see, look at this, how Bitcoin, so look at this, we had this breakout. So it was down around $300, it went all the way up to $510, and then wicked all the way back down to about $280, only to pump all the way back up again to $450. So
how crazy is looking at that chart? 2015. You imagine Bitcoin, $700 was the peak right here, and it's right now at 27,000. It's insane.
So if you were trying to trade that range with some high leverage or something, people were getting wrecked, right? And what ended up happening? How many people lost Bitcoin trying to be cool, trying to trade that? And look at that. You could have just held, or you could have just did a lower leverage long and, got out a lot better. So again, guys, if you don't know how to trade, you don't know what you're doing, I definitely recommend you watch my free tutorial popping up right here right now. There's $56,000 in bonuses. Claim them. Take advantage of that if you want. Something on the charts, though, if you want to talk lower time frame, that's a little concerning. Just being real here. Maybe we could see a fake out, is we do have whale selling here, whale selling here. You see this green on the wave edge, it could be moving into the purple. And generally speaking, when the green moves into the purple, you do get that move to the downside. And we have had this RSI on the market cipher, pretty high, and just connecting it, if you want to take this as an anchor and this as a trigger, maybe potentially there's just could be that one more little dip again. Like I said, retesting this original Terra Luna crash, because we've never retested it yet. Very important level, right? Major support, major resistance, major resistance. We've never flipped the support, right? So that's what's making me think that even if we do go up to 32,000, we may still come back down again anyway to 25.3. So maybe it makes more sense to just do it now rather than later. And as I still have my drawings on here from before, Bitcoin has a very strong correlation with gold, and gold appears to be doing cup and handle right now. And as long as we stay basically above these levels, that's what I'm looking for. And CBBI is saying that we are still relatively low at around, I'll give it a refresh live, 25. So 25%, meaning we're about 25% way to the top, basically, right? Last market did get cut short at around 84, but I think we still have a lot more to go. So I wouldn't be getting bearish anytime soon. We could have a little bit of craziness, not gonna lie, guys, but ultimately that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel.
Huge shout out to Crypto Zombie for that. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, I mean, I like watching his trading analysis, because he does some good stuff. And if you guys missed the Restrict Act video or whatever conversation we had, go back to the beginning of this video. But yeah, I mean, that's gonna do it, guys. What do you all think about all this? Do you guys think that we're gonna see a dump this week in ETH? Some people are saying, yeah, there's gonna be a dump, and then there will be a FOMO effect where people buy back in, said EK. Let's see. Caspa RC actually had a thing on Caspa. He said, my Caspa solo luck is awful with 25 gigahashes. He said he hit 3 blocks in the last 2 days. I need to go back to pool mining. So about that, 2 miners actually added, let's go. I think they added, what's it called? No, that is not the website. Let's Google this. Hold on. They added Caspa, a Caspa mining pool. It's with a 2, isn't it? Yeah. That's it. There we go. They added a Caspa mining pool. Where is it? Right here. Sorry for the brightness, but right here, there is the 3 terahashes on Caspa over at 2 miners. They do not have payouts in Bitcoin available, but nonetheless, there is a new pool. So a lot of people have been, I guess flooding over to Caspa because of this, and solo luck has been really shitty. I know, Rondi, my man Rondi, said his solo luck got really bad too. So that is pretty terrible. All right, I think that's gonna do it, guys. Well, it says, hold on, I guess I thought it was the upgrades to, oh, it says Mac OS. Yeah. So the Bitcoin white paper is in Macs that are 2018 and older. I mean, sorry, 2018 and newer, not anything younger than 2018 or older than 2018. But all right, guys, I think that's it. Hopefully you guys have a good day at work. Enjoy your Monday. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go do some daddy duty stuff, and I will see you guys later on today around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll go over some more stuff. Hopefully you guys have a good day. Peace out.